So I'm sick and time has been going way too slow. So I thought I'd try and record a video about being sick. My god, is it miserable. It feels like it was 11, like not an hour ago, a day ago. Like, it feels like I've been up for 12 hours and I've only been up for 5. It's 12 right now and I fully thought it was 3. I have a really bad response whenever I get sick. My body just kind of shuts down. Something I've noticed is that whenever I'm sick, usually the first symptom is like a lot of sensory issues with like blankets. Like, I'll feel like my skin is more sensitive to textures, and it makes, if you were to scratch my skin, it would be significantly more painful than otherwise. When I first logged on, I lost like 7 games in a row, and I was so frustrated at myself until I realized that the reason I kept losing was because I hadn't done anything all day. Like, there was no adrenaline in my system, no caffeine, and I was sick, so my reaction time was definitely a little fucked by that. So I was mostly going on autopilot. One of the worst parts of being sick to me is coughing. Because, my lord, does it feel painful when you cough out? Like, whenever I have to hack up like some mucus from like the center of my lungs or something. That's something I've noticed. I've always, if I ever cough into a napkin, there's just like a glob of mucus or something. Something green and like kind of solid, but like jello-ish in texture. Not texture, but like appearance rather. Okay, yeah, I don't have the fortitude to deal with this shit. Oh, maybe I do. Hold up. Let me cook. Sorry, I'm like naturally geeked right now because I'm sick. So again, I'm saying I'm mainly running on... Holy shit, I thought I was gonna lose that. Yeah, so I mainly wanted to talk about one time I got really sick for like only a day. Okay, so I don't have a very weak stomach. It's something that has changed a bit lately though. I think it's because I've upped my dosage of antidepressants, so I feel less numb. For like 4 or so years, I didn't feel nauseous a single time. No, I definitely felt like nauseous, but never like I'm gonna throw up. I never threw up for 3 years is what I'm trying to say. I remember that because about 3 months before Scarlet and Violet's release, where I was on TikTok doing the challenge I'd made, where I'd make a fucked up food item every day. And so one day I had the bright idea to just make a bunch of posts for the next few or so days, not considering that meant that I would have to eat like 10 different things, capping it all off with day 10, which was just something fucking unholy, which completely destroyed my stomach. But even when I did end up throwing up later that day, in the car, it wasn't consisting of food. It was mainly water. Like, I looked at it and it was almost entirely clear. And I was like, okay, is that just what puke looks like? And I got my answer to that 3 years later. So about a month or 2 ago by now, I got very sick. I don't know how. Well, actually I do. Actually, both the times I've gotten sick this year were from family members. So I don't go outside that much in case it isn't obvious. And, well, I do go outside, but I don't usually end up in places where you'd expect people to be sick. Like, I don't go on subways or public transit that often, if ever, honestly. I haven't used my Presto card for those Americans, rest in peace, but, it's like a gift card for the bus and stuff. I don't pay the bus fare. I didn't use my Presto card from like the day I got it until a few months after. So I was very confused when I woke up at 7 in the morning, paralyzed, and I just felt so incredibly nauseous. Because I don't usually feel like that, you know, usually in the morning, I'm a little groggy. bro, just stop. Immediately I'm like, okay, this is fine. It's probably just my anxiety. There was definitely something that I was anxious for that made me think it's probably just my anxiety. I just don't want to go to school. I lay in bed for a few minutes or so, as I do, and the nausea doesn't go away. It only gets worse, actually. So now I'm starting to get a little concerned. I'm like, okay, am I sick? Am I gonna throw up? But I'm like, realistically, it's just the anxiety. This happens all the time. I think they rage quit. I start thinking, okay, this is definitely just my anxiety. It has to be. I haven't thrown up in 3 years. I don't throw up. That's what was going through my head at the time. So about an hour passes, and I'm feeling that sensitivity I mentioned earlier, and I'm like, okay, this is probably just like an anxiety, and me stressing out about it isn't making it any better. So I go to stand up, and I get a wave of nausea, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna lay down for a few more minutes. But the nausea doesn't get better. It only gets worse and worse for about another 10 minutes until I feel something like coming out of my throat, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna throw up. It's time to run. I immediately get out of bed and I fucking book it to the bathroom. It is like running with a teacup. Damn, this guy just, he's playing like trackpad or something. My grandma could do better combos. Anyways, so I book it to the toilet, and I feel it just coming up, and I'm like, oh god, is this what it feels like to throw up? So I try and lift up the toilet seat, and just as I do that, it all fucking comes out over the course of 30 seconds. I'm hunched over right next to the table. A lot of it got into the air vent. I've also noticed my laugh is very similar to... Okay, bro. Sorry, I just had to do that. Bitches need to know they can't get away with that shit. It was very gross, needless to say. I threw up everywhere around the toilet. It's like when you go to pee at like 3 a.m. and you don't really know where you're aiming. That was pretty miserable. But I thought, okay, I don't feel nauseous anymore. I'm sure it was just something I ate. Maybe it was like food poisoning. The night before, my mother had cooked something, and I remembered that it was like, it tasted a little doughy, so I thought it could have been food poisoning. And so I was like, okay, I threw up, but it's fine now. So I found my mother. I asked her to clean up the bathroom while I get ready to go to school. Because by now, I'm feeling like energized. There's a lot of like adrenaline that went into me when I threw up. So I'm feeling very energized all of a sudden. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to school. Everything's going to be fine. No need to worry about anything. That was just a little bit of food poisoning or something weird in my stomach. And now it's all fine. So I start eating breakfast, and it feels a little weird. Everything tastes a little wrong because, you know, there's still a little bit of puke in my mouth, obviously. Drink water, try and flush it down, and I eat my cereal. And then the nausea starts coming back, and I immediately think, okay, obviously this can't just be a one-time thing. This is gonna be a whole day endeavor, I think. Or at least start to think, okay, well, I don't want to throw up in the middle of the road, so I'm gonna stay home for today. So I do. I get out my trusty old tissue box, usually used for other things, my garbage can. I get the tissue box, but I don't really end up using it. So I know what's gonna be happening now that I've thrown up. I can get a general feel for the day. I know that I'm gonna be spending most of the day inside. Basically, for the entire day, I am out of commission. I have a high fever. Cool. I can barely move. And this might seem like concerning to some people, but this is pretty regular for me. Whenever I get sick, I usually get really sick. I don't get sick often, but when I do, it sucks. That's why, believe it or not, I don't like getting sick. I don't really remember much about the second time I threw up. Mainly all I remember, this time, it was on my jacket, mostly. It was more on my chair. It was about then that I decided that I was going to keep my garbage can next to me at all times. I just want to talk about how much it sucks being sick when you're nauseous. Because when you're nauseous, you do not want, because you move, you feel more nauseous. It's like the, So for the most part, it just feels like that until you eventually throw up. To where you are completely non-nauseous, and that's the only time you can do anything. For like an entire day, I got a total of 2.5 hours. The third time we'd gone into full like quarantine mode. It was about 12. That was my third puke. By the way, I think this was the worst because I think I got used to it after this, which is horrifying. The third time, I remember that my mother was in my room. She had a mask, she had gloves, all that. I have a broken window. Broken, but like I know how to use it. It's just that no one else does. I'm like the window master. Which especially sucks when I'm sick because I'm the only one who knows how to use the window, which always leads to someone wanting to fix it. So my mother comes in, she has a drill. I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna throw up. And I'm just like, Mom, please just stop the drill for like 5 seconds. And I reach over, I grab the trash can, and I sit there retching and puking into it for a good 30 seconds as my mother sits on my gaming chair, the one I'm sitting on right now, and just stares with a look of horror on her face. Quick side tangent. I don't have any photos, but according to people who saw me, I was like pale. Like, okay, for reference, that's how I look normally. So imagine that, but like the saturation is at like 3. Something I've noticed is that my hair like droops whenever I'm sick. There's 2 times that usually my hair is very like very fluffy and puffy, but there's 3 situations where it'll be very mop-like, as I call it. So the first is after I take a shower, obviously, because it's wet and it weighs a lot. The second time is after I don't shower for like a few days, obviously. And then for some reason, the third, without fail, my hair becomes significantly droopier whenever I'm sick. I don't know why, because that has nothing to do with the 2 other things. I guess it has to do with being unhygienic, but none of the shit that's happening to, like, my body is going to my hair. I don't know why it happens. And also, like, when I generally feel miserable, my hair is, like, a lot droopier. I don't know if there's some sort of, like, spiritual connection between emotions and hair weight. Maybe I'm just crazy. So, back to the story. After this third time, everything got pretty usual. I spent most of the day just like scrolling Twitter, watching YouTube on my phone because I couldn't even get out of bed to grab my laptop. So the day ends and I wake up the next day and I'm feeling almost entirely fine. And it's then that I learn that I actually got it from my dad, who had the exact same symptoms and shit as me, but I didn't know it, and I assumed it was just like unrelated because he actually went to work. The worst part about being sick is having to just wait out the storm. There's nothing you can really do about it. Like, nothing that will immediately just make it go away. Like, is there like other problems in life, like getting out of bed, where you can just like ignore it? No, it is inside of you. Oh, right, I just remembered something. There was one thing that I recently heard about from my mother. I don't remember how we got to this topic, but she told me that one time when I was 3, 4, 5, somewhere like really young, I had a seizure because I had such a high fever that my brain was literally melting and I had to be rushed to the hospital. So that's fun. That's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you like men. Happy International Romani Day. Happy International Be Kind to Lawyers Day. International Kids Yoga Day. And happy International Draw a Bird Day. Make sure to draw a bird today. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow you can't draw any birds. That's strictly illegal. And you will be fined $10 to $20 if you do draw a bird on any day other than April 8th, 2025. I'm spinning around to keep your attention and mine because this is even boring to me. Look at my head spins. You can, like, kind of see. Oh my god. That is mildly nauseating. Alright, bye. And, like, if you subscribe to National Draw Bird Day. Yah. Yas, queen. Slay.
Dude, making outros for YouTube videos is hard. Just like my